Welcome. In today's lesson, we'll be discussing the techniques for distilling information in an ad campaign. Extra care and scrutiny need to be observed when someone asks you to support them or their cause. That's because more than likely you or someone you know will be affected by this support. The ad campaign that I have chosen has it all. It has an audio version that was played on the radio, it has a video version, and it has an online presence in the form of a website. The first step in this process is to critically listen to the ad and identify keywords and key phrases that we can use as breadcrumbs to guide us. We will first be listening to the audio version or the radio ad that initially brought my attention to this campaign. Now, I have found that by closing my eyes, I am able to block out any visual distraction, which helps me focus on what is being said. And I invite you to do the same. To help, I will put up a black screen while we play the ad. So I'm going to close my eyes now and listen to the ad.
Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
I don't know about you, but some of the keywords and key phrases that I identified were glyphosate, litigation between trial lawyers and farmers, the website TakeControlMissouri.com, and the sponsor of the ad, Modern Ag Alliance. Now, keeping those things in mind, I would like to show the video ad for this campaign, and let's see if we can get any additional information from this video. So we'll go ahead and play that.
Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
So after watching the video, the only additional takeaway I got was that the farmers being referenced in the ad are commercial farmers, or in other words, farmers whose crops make it into the national food supply. So armed with all of these breadcrumbs, we will go on a fact-finding mission by conducting an online research to see how all of these breadcrumbs are linked together. First place to start when following the breadcrumbs that the ad has given us is to go out to the website that they provided. So we'll go out there and we'll do a search on Take Control Missouri. And when we do that, as you can see, the first webpage that pops up is actually Modern Ag Alliance, Take Control Missouri. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And as you can see, this actually takes us to controlweedsnotfarming.com and not takecontrolmissouri.com. So I don't know what happened with takecontrolmissouri.com in their ad, but this clearly takes us to controlweedsnotfarming.com. Now, what I like to do before I get into any of the information on any of the web pages from this website is I like to go out to the About Us to see who is providing me this information. So we'll go to the About Us page here. And when we do that, we get this. Who we are. Led by Bayer and a diverse group of key agricultural stakeholders, Modern Ag Alliance is an organization that is fighting to protect U.S. farmers' access to crop protection tools they need to ensure we have a robust and affordable domestic food supply. Well, that's pretty interesting. They claim that this Modern Ag Alliance is a diverse group of key agricultural stakeholders, but the only one that they name by name is Bayer, and it says led by Bayer. So I'm assuming Bayer is is the main driving force behind this. So that has me wondering what the connection is between glyphosate and Bayer is. So we'll go ahead and stop there and we'll do a search for glyphosate Bayer. And when we do that, we get this web page, the first web page that pops up here, and it has everything you need to know about glyphosate safety and Roundup safety. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on that. This takes us to Bayer's, one of Bayer's websites, their research and safety record web page. It says everything you need to know about glyphosate and Roundup safety. We'll scroll down here. There is much discussion about glyphosate and the active ingredient in most Roundup brand herbicides and other weed control products. Is it safe to use? What impact does it have on the environment, and more? So I'm going to stop right here because we're actually not here to verify if glyphosate is good or bad. We really don't care. We're just trying to find the connection between glyphosate and Bayer. So we're going to go ahead and skip some of this information. Okay, what is glyphosate? Okay, we're going to skip that because we don't need to know that. Glyphosate safety record, we're going to skip. We don't need to know that. Glyphosate role in agricultural, preserving the environment and biodiversity, we're going to skip that. Glyphosate and Bayer, now that's exactly something that we're looking for. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on that and see what further information they give us here. So the Bayer stands fully behind our glyphosate-based Roundup product, which have been used safely and successfully around the world for 50 years. So here we know that Bayer is the manufacturer of Roundup. So that's what the connection is between glyphosate and Bayer, is that its product Roundup has glyphosate in it. And let me see, glyphosate-based herbicides are the most widely and extensively tested. Once again, we're not here to determine if glyphosate's good or bad, so we'll skip that. Like all herbicides, glyphosate has been subject to rigorous testing and oversight by regulatory authorities. Again, we're not here for that, so we're going to skip that. And then here at the end, for details about U.S. litigation, that's exactly something that we're looking at. Remember, one of the breadcrumbs talked about litigation between trial lawyers and farmers. So that's exactly something that we want to look at. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on that link. Takes us to another Bayer page. Managing the Roundup litigation. Bayer continues to make progress in its 5-point plan to manage and mitigate the risks of Roundup litigation in the U.S. We still, most of the claims in this litigation have appropriately provision for the remaining claims. Having won trials, and the company will continue to try cases based on decades of science and worldwide regulatory assessments, which continue to support Roundup safety and non-carcinogenicity. Okay. We'll go down to the 5-point plan. 1, sync positive ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll go ahead and click on that, see what that says. Favorable ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court on the federal preemption question could largely end the Roundup litigation. The main question here is whether state-based failure to warn claims are preempted by federal law, since the EPA concluded glyphosate does not cause cancer and approved the Roundup label without a warning. Okay, so here we find out that the litigation against Bayer and Roundup actually comes from state-based failure to warn claims. So that's interesting. Okay, so we'll go on to number 2, continue to manage current cases, and we'll see what the additional information is here. 114,000 of approximately 172,000 claims have been resolved or deemed to be ineligible. Okay, so even though 114,000 of 172,000 claims have been deemed to be ineligible, that still leaves uh, 58? Still leaves about 58,000 claims. So that's pretty substantial. So that sounds a little bit like motivation to me. And then we'll continue on to number 3 here. New U.S. law and garden formulations. To further reduce future litigation risk, we have transitioned the manufacturing of our glyphosate product for the U.S. residential lawn and garden market to new formulations that have different active ingredients. We have taken this action exclusively to manage a litigation risk and not because of any safety concerns. The vast majority of claims have come from residential lawn and garden user, so this step largely eliminates the primary source of future claims. This action does not impact any of our glyphosate-based agricultural or professional products. So here they're saying that most of the litigation is coming from residential Roundup use. So that's like, DIY or home gardeners, or maybe even DIY, get rid of weeds and stuff from around, the property and stuff, and does not impact any of their agricultural or professional products. So remember, in that ad, the visuals of that ad were commercial farmers, and this is clearly stating that this has nothing to do with their commercial or their agricultural professional products. So this doesn't include them. This is only residential. So, that was a little misleading on their part by saying, or by, giving the visuals that this is going to affect commercial farmers when they clearly state themselves that it does not. So, that has me wondering what more information we can find out about state-based failure to warn claims. So we'll do a search here on failure to warn, and when we do, we get this result from the National Agricultural Law Center as the first result. So that sounds promising. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on that. And like before we read or assess any of the information there, I want to look to see, what more information we can find out about these people or about who's providing us this information. So we go to the About Us page. And when we do, we find this: who we are. In 1987, Congress called for the creation of the National Center for Agricultural Law, Research and Information. In the decades since its founding, the National Agricultural Law Center has received funding in part from federal appropriations through the National Agricultural Library, an entity within the Agricultural Research Service of the United States Department of Agriculture. Additionally, the center works with several partners and an array of stakeholders throughout the United States. The National Agricultural Law Center, a unit of the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture, serves as the nation's leading source of objective, scholarly, and authoritative agricultural and food law research and information, serving public and private sector stakeholders, producers, federal and state lawmakers, policymakers, land grant, university facilities, and academics, attorneys, and others throughout the United States. It is the only agricultural and food law research and information facility that is independent, national in scope, and directly connected to the National Agricultural Information Network. So these guys seem pretty legit. So we'll go ahead and see what kind of information they have to offer us. So we'll scroll through their webpage here, and it says, so the title of this article is Plaintiffs and Pesticides, Failure to Warn Claims and Pesticide Injury Lawsuits. Okay, so we're gonna kind of scan through this to see if we can find any new information that will help us concerning the failure to warn claims here. So we'll keep on scrolling. Okay, so the last sentence of this paragraph, I guess, is a good place to start. And it says here, Bayer has argued that the state failure to warn claims raised by plaintiffs in pesticide injury lawsuits are preempted by labeling requirements in the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, or FIFRA. FIFRA is the primary federal statute regulating pesticide use in the United States. Under FIFRA, a pesticide may not be legally sold or used until it has been registered with the EPA or with the Environmental Protection Agency, or the EPA, and has an approved label. The label contains all necessary instructions and warnings needed to use the pesticide safely and effectively. In order to register a pesticide under FIFRA, EPA must make a finding that using the pesticide according to its label will not cause unreasonable adverse effects on the environment. And then we'll skip down a sentence here, and it says, while FIFRA does grant states the authority to regulate the sale or use of any federal registered pesticide, it also prohibits states from adopting any requirements for labeling or packaging in addition to or different from those required under FIFRA. In other words, while states may adopt state requirements affecting pesticide sales and usage, they may not adopt regulations that would change the text of the registered pesticide label. So essentially, failure to warn claims are stating that the pesticide labeling does not contain a warning on it. So unfortunately, to sell pesticides or herbicides in the United States, you have to follow the FIFRA regulations, which requires you to have an EPA approval and a label that meets that EPA approval. So you can't have anything in addition to that, because that would be violating the EPA approval and violating the FIFRA. But apparently in some states, they have requirements that state that you have to, if they deem it to be a danger, that you'd have to put on some kind of additional labeling. So this is all about labeling. So it's about labeling laws from the federal government versus labeling laws of individual states, is what failure to warn is all about. So we will do a research recap of what we have uncovered by following these breadcrumbs. Okay, Bayer's connection to glyphosate. We have uncovered that Bayer is the manufacturer of glyphosate-based herbicide Roundup. Bayer's glyphosate litigation. It says the litigation against Bayer centers around state-based failure to warn claims over the residential glyphosate-based product Roundup. We also found that this litigation is directed at Bayer's glyphosate-based residential Roundup product that is used in residential landscaping and or gardening, and does not include Bayer's agricultural glyphosate-based product in commercial farming operations, as they led us to believe from their video ad. Additionally, FIFRA, the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, prohibits Bayer from affixing additional consumer warning labels on their product to avoid state-based failure to warn litigation. And lastly is Bayer's motivation to end litigation. There are currently approximately 57,000 outstanding failure to warn claims against Bayer to be resolved. So I think we pretty much uncovered what the underlying issue is, and that is it's just a difference between federal and state labeling laws is what it all boils down to. So I think that's actual what the purpose of the ad campaign is to get that changed. So after following the breadcrumbs of keywords and key phrases, we were able to successfully research and uncover the root issues behind this ad campaign. We will be stopping here for this lesson. Please join me in the next lesson where we will continue and conclude our discussion on the techniques of distilling information in an ad campaign. Until then, take care.